Hello, it's Dina Rich, broker associate with Keller Williams Realty on South Padre Island. In the previous video, we discussed the advantages of being a represented buyer. In this video, we'll take an in-depth look at the buyer representation agreement, paragraph by paragraph. As a former educator, I feel it's important that buyers understand this agreement and know what they're signing. But I promise there will not be a quiz at the end. Paragraph 1 is our contact information. Paragraph 2 states that you're giving me the right to be your exclusive real estate agent for the market area that we'll define in the next section. If you have any other existing buyer representation agreements, I need to know that. I can't represent a buyer who has an existing agreement with another agent in the same market area. Paragraph 3 contains definitions for some of the important terms in this agreement. In this paragraph, we'll define our market area. Although my license says I can sell property anywhere in the state of Texas, the Code of Ethics says that agents should only work in market areas in which we are geographically competent. Some agents will put State of Texas as their market area. I only work the South Padre Island, Port Isabel, Laguna Vista, and Bayview area. So our market area will be limited to any or all of the 4 local towns. Paragraph 4 defines the beginning and end of our agreement. Paragraph 5 states that I'm obligated to work for you in your acquisition of a property. All the details of my obligations to you and the advantages of being a represented buyer were covered in a previous video. As stated in paragraph 2, this agreement is exclusive. Paragraph 6 covers what to do if you encounter other agents. For example, you're free to attend an open house, but you should inform the agent that you're under an agreement with another agent. If you're browsing online for properties, if you click the Contact Agent button, your inquiry will go to some local agent. If that agent contacts you, you should inform them that you're under a buyer representation agreement with another agent. It's best to send me the address of the property so that I can provide the information for you. Paragraph 7 discusses agent compensation. Compensation is not set or fixed and is always negotiable. In paragraph 7a, we'll agree on my compensation for the work that I do as your buyer agent. Now you may be saying to yourself, what? I have to pay my buyer agent? I've never had to do that when I purchased a property in the past. I thought the seller always paid both agents. And for many transactions, this will be the case. You may not have to compensate me at all, but you might, and so I want you to be aware of this. Here's how it works. Before panic sets in, let's take a close look at paragraph 7c. It states that I will first seek to be compensated by the seller. If the seller is willing to compensate me for the full amount that you and I have agreed upon, you would not be responsible for compensating me at all. But remember, compensation is always negotiable. Depending on the price and terms of your offer, the seller could reconsider the amount they originally said they would pay the buyer agent. If the seller is willing to compensate me for a lesser amount, you would make up the difference. If the seller isn't willing to compensate me at all, only then would you be responsible for all of the agreed upon amount. Some agents charge a retainer fee, but I do not. Paragraph D states that agents receive compensation only when their client closes on a property. Paragraph E covers how I would be compensated if you purchase one of my listings. That will be covered in detail in another video. Paragraph F talks about other sources of compensation for agents, such as builders for new construction, partner service providers, or bonuses. The protection period states that after the expiration of our agreement, if you decide to purchase one of the properties that we visited together, that this agreement would still be in effect for a predetermined number of days. Paragraphs H and I address how funds are dispersed. Paragraph 8 covers topics such as our legal capacity to enter into an agreement, the providing of honest information concerning agreements with other agents and about your ability to purchase a property, and any relocation company you may be working with. Paragraph E makes it known that although I represent you, I do not make decisions for you, nor do I ever sign any document on your behalf. Paragraph 9 discusses different scenarios if you were to purchase one of my listings or a property listed by another agent at Keller Williams, Lower Rio Grande Valley. If you choose no intermediary status, this means that not only can I not show you any of my listings, I can't show you any properties listed by Keller Williams, Lower Rio Grande Valley. We're a sizable organization with multiple branch offices, and that would eliminate a large number of properties from your search. This paragraph also notes that in an intermediary scenario, your information is kept confidential and all parties are treated ethically. Paragraph 10 states that I may show the same property to other buyer clients. 11 assures you that any information you share with me will remain confidential even after our agreement expires. Paragraphs 12 through 14 provide information on what happens if one of us breaches this agreement. 15 states that the broker is not held responsible for any injuries. For example, if you fall into a swimming pool and ruin your phone, I cannot be held accountable, but I will help you get out of the pool. 16 lists forms and notices that I'll share with you. And 17 allows us to add details that aren't covered anywhere else in this agreement. Other additional notices include: as an at-home with diversity agent, I follow fair housing laws. I work with and embrace everyone. I stay in my lane and won't attempt to answer questions that should be addressed by other experts, such as attorneys, inspectors, etc. When you make an offer, we'll discuss the title policy and residential service contract. And although sellers are not supposed to, I always tell buyers to assume that they're being watched on doorbell cameras or security systems. Unless we've asked permission, you should not take photos or videos when visiting properties. You'll be provided with a wire fraud warning. Due to new legislation passed in Texas in January of 2026, individuals with ties to countries considered to be a threat to national security are not permitted to purchase property in Texas. The signature paragraph states that real estate agents cannot give legal advice. You're welcome to have an attorney review this document before signing. Thank you for having the patience to watch this video through to the end. I hope that by going through this document paragraph by paragraph, that your questions have been answered. The next video in the series will address viewing and making an offer on a property listed by me or by one of the agents in my office.